Hey friends, welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Tracy Frame and you are listening to Multiform PTSD because PTSD has no uniform. We're going to be talking about non-military focused post-traumatic stress. Bring awareness to this section of post-traumatic stress and be there to bring awareness and support to other survivors as well as our support systems. So buckle up. Thank you so much for being here. Let's do this. Hey, what is up, everybody? Oh, I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. I'm going to be honest. This has been kind of a dream of mine in one way, shape, or form for a very long time. So I'm so glad to be doing this. So glad you are here joining me and being a part of this. It really means so much to me. I wanted to do this for a while to start this podcast and I was kind of struggling. I was like, yes, I want to do this. It's going to be awesome. And then I had a struggle of where do I start? Right? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? Who on earth do I think I am that anyone would want to listen to me? Right? My confidence was shook. Fear started setting in, and if anyone else out there is like me, sometimes fear can paralyze me, okay? And that's kind of what it did. Until yesterday. Last night, I had a conversation where this person was accusing me of lying about having PTSD, that I had no idea what real PTSD was like, that mine wasn't real, and just bashed me hardcore. I mean, I don't want to get into it all. I don't want to relive it all. But needless to say, it was a trigger. Like, it triggered back so many things for me, and I was angry. I mean, I was shaking, y'all. Y'all been that upset where you're just like shaking and you can't cry, you can't speak, but you are shaking and you are mad and there's just no words, right? Which is why I didn't do this last night. There were no words. And then I called one of my very best friends and they talked me down and kind of helped me through it. But that internal struggle that I felt for that period of time and those tears that I finally was able to cry, that pain and my story I want to use for your gain and mine. Y'all, I am still on this journey. I am still learning this recovery journey of non-military related PTSD, post-traumatic stress. Okay, but I realized I can't be alone in this. This is not the first time someone has said to me that my trauma or my PTSD wasn't real because I never saw the battlefield overseas in a uniform, yada, yada, yada. I am not, I repeat, not discounting those experiences. Not at all. I just can't speak of them. That's the one traumatic event that I have not experienced in my life. I am so grateful and respect those men and women who have. No way am I discrediting that. But I think those of us who struggle with PTSD, not focused and started from wartime, as you know, we think of in the movies, you're not alone. I know I'm not alone, so I'm going to speak out to y'all because you're not alone either. If you know someone who has had this, if you have it yourself, you're struggling with it, your loved one is struggling with it, I got you. And all of these episodes that I'm going to do is going to be my rally cry. It's going to be my cheers. I'm going to be your cheerleader on how to overcome this, how to fight it, what it feels like so you know you're not alone, how to support someone that you love. This is my passion. And last night's conversation brought back my fire. Okay. I am now on fire. I am motivated to get this awareness and support out to you all. And in return, it's helping me too. Okay. The teacher always gets taught just as much, if not more than the student, right? So here we go. I want to go through some similarities and maybe I'm not comparing the two PTSDs. They both have a place, but I want to show where there is some common ground, how it is the same, and different ways of looking at it, just to broaden your horizons. Okay. Just give me this podcast. Give me the next few minutes to explain how they are similar. Okay. All right. First one. So in this conversation I had with this individual who I no longer will be having conversations with, just to put that out there. They said that I didn't understand PTSD. Mine was not real because, quote, I had not lost the life of someone who didn't deserve it. Or I shouldn't have said quote. It was somewhere very near those lines. I have deleted everything since then, and it really made me think. So I'm a nurse. I have worked on high acuity floors. Okay. Life and death has been in my hands. I cannot tell you how many times I would get these patients that you just kind of fall in love with, right? They are happy. They're fighters and they're strong and they're ready to make changes in their lives to be healthier so they don't end up back up on our floor. Their parents, their grandparents, they have lives. I learned to love these patients. You love those that you serve. You end up just loving them. The next time you see them, they've passed and we are doing life-saving measures to try and bring them back. Patients, I've been there holding their hand or being right there with them as they pass to the next life. They don't deserve it either. Yeah, I do know what it's like to lose someone's life in my hands who did not deserve it. Yeah, I do. It looks different than maybe what he was speaking of, but I understand that. My best friend, there aren't enough positive expressions and verbs to use for this woman. She was the nicest, the kindest best friend to me for sure. And I don't know how many people would have considered her one of their best friends as well. She was just the sweetest soul, full of life and laughter. If you knew her at all, you knew her from her smile and her laugh. Her faith was unshakable. She was young. She was vibrant. She was always there for me. She was my biggest fan. She loved me unconditionally. And let me tell you, I made her prove that I can be an idiot, okay? She had no problems telling me I was being an idiot, but she did it in a way that I knew she loved me anyway. I lost her. She is probably the best person I have ever known. And I lost her to a heroic, long fight with cancer. Of anyone I have ever met, no one deserved that less than she did. That was a hard blow for me. Hard blow. Obviously, I can still get kind of emotional talking about it because she just was very dear to my heart and the most pure soul I think I've ever met. She didn't deserve it. And I had to watch that too. One of my friends, she was pregnant. She was held hostage by gunpoint, and her hostage shot the baby, shot her, and then committed suicide. That is just one of the most unjust things I can even imagine a person having to go through. She did not deserve that. No one deserves that kind of behavior and that kind of trauma. No one deserves that. Okay. It looks different, but that doesn't make it less important or less real. That's all I'm trying to say about that. My podcast is called Multiform because PTSD does not wear a uniform. People who have PTSD also wear the uniforms, quotation marks here. I'm showing you the quotations of my fingers, right? Of being a mom, being a child, being a dad, being a nurse or a firefighter or a cop, or honestly, criminals. Millionaires can have it. those on welfare and barely getting by can have it, married, single. It can happen to it can happen to anybody. Social status, every race, it doesn't look the same. You know what else doesn't look the same? Our enemies. You think of our men in our camos fighting the enemy who's wearing, I don't know what. I don't want to throw anything out there because I don't want people accusing me of being racist or anything like that. But they look a certain way. The enemy either has a different uniform on, or they have different gear on, or they have different weapons. They have different XYZ, right? You are trained to look for a certain thing as your enemy, okay? Those who suffer from PTSD often also have enemies. The people who inflict this pain on them, right? You know what? They don't have uniforms either. There is no training. There is no way to know who the enemy is going to be before it happens. Often, you don't know. They can show up as parents. They can show up as our siblings, our significant others, our quote friends, or coworkers, or even strangers. Okay, they're often undercover or disguised as people we trust or think we should be able to. They don't always have guns and cannons. They use their words. They use their hands, the actions. They can be subtle. They can throw in mixed messages. They show up as people in our lives that we think we can trust, or that we care about, or we think should care about us. We have enemies too. Have I been on a battlefield overseas with people shooting guns at me or trying to kill me? In that instance, no. No, I have not been in that, and I can't even begin to imagine the fear that comes with that. I'm not downplaying that. But I don't know it, so I can't speak of it. I can't speak to those who have experienced that because I have no experience in it. So I have no business talking about it and trying to tell anyone else how to deal with it. I have no idea how you deal with it. But here's the thing. Battlefields that I have dealt with have been in my home. They have been in public places. They have been in my room. They have been in my soul, in my heart, in my mind. Places I can get away from, but sometimes it's places I can't get away from. When you go through these traumas and you have these battles internally all day, every day, triggers up the yin yang, it's inside you. There is no safe place to go. It doesn't matter where you go, it's still with you. It's still in your heart. It's still in your mind. You still get those flashbacks, those feelings. You're still there. You can't leave. It stays with you everywhere you go. And so does that self-doubt of the future of yourself, of your significant others, friends, bosses, strangers. You can't get away from those kinds of battlefields. You aren't even safe in your own head. Anyone else understand that? Who understands what I'm saying when I say you don't even feel safe in your own head? Guys, I have been through a ton, and I will share those situations with you as these episodes continue. I have been through a lot. The worst battles I have had have been internal. And I have been abused in every way, shape, or form you can be abused. Physically, emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually. It's happened. Multiple times, multiple people. Again, I'll get into that in future episodes. But the worst part was afterwards. It was the years of the anxiety and the wars and the battles going on in my head and in my heart, and blaming myself for whatever happened. I know a lot of times when we think of PTSD in the military, we think of their flashbacks and their dreams, right? That's always the Hollywood version, right? That is real. That is very, very real. It is very real for those of us who did not fight in a war zone. Too. The loud noises. specific rooms, specific places or events, people, a smell, a voice or a sound, different colors even, or brand names of clothes or stores, or a certain type of music or artist or movie or a shirt or an animal or just a name. Any of those things can be a trigger that triggers a flashback. And when we think of flashback, a lot of times what we think about is, we see our light flash before our eyes, or we see the event happening again, or we see that person standing next to us. Those are all very real. That happens. But a lot of times, for me, my flashbacks have been more, I step into a situation or a place, or I see something that triggers a flashback, and it's the feelings that come flooding in. Okay, I don't necessarily see a visual flashback, but all of a sudden I've got the sweats or the chills, or I am frozen and can't move, or I dissociate completely and I'm zoned out, or, fight or flight, I'm running, I'm trying to get away, instant, just heart drops down to my gut. You just, the feelings that you felt, the fear, the anguish, the fears that you're going to die, or whatever the trauma is, those feelings come back. So when you step in a situation where you get those emotional flashbacks, you feel like you're back in that situation. You could be in a totally different place. You can be with a totally different person. Those are rough. Those emotional flashbacks. Ugh. We'll talk more in depth about all this. But my next one I want to talk about is the grief of losing someone very close to you, but they're not dead. What do I mean by that? They're a completely different person. Okay? Someone I have cared deeply for, thought I knew better than I knew myself. Then all of a sudden they turn into a completely different person. 180. Then it becomes they have a different personality, they have different morals, different character, and your relationship completely changes. They become unrecognizable. You don't even know who they are anymore. There's a shell of a person still there, and you're grieving that person who is technically still there. There's the shell, there's the person, but it is not the same person. It is hard to know how to be with or interact with them anymore. You still might see them on social media. You still might see them driving down the road, but you're thinking of a completely different person. That person's not there anymore. That is a kind of grief that is hard. It's hard because they're not dead. So you feel weird grieving the loss of them. And deep down that person's still there, but you can't see them, right? On my Facebook and Instagram, that's called MultiformPTSD, if you want to look it up. I'm going to put this on. There's a meme, and it's about your trauma is valid. And you don't let anyone else convince you that your trauma is not valid, because it doesn't look the way that a lot of Hollywood, social media makes it look. We're supposed to be welcoming and understanding to everyone, all shapes and sizes, colors, races, languages. Doesn't matter. We're supposed to accept everyone for who they are. We're not supposed to talk down to them. So why on earth are we talking down to people who have had real traumas and psychic blows and psychic mental brain injuries? Literally, they look different in MRIs. There's a change in the brain with people who have PTSD. Whether it's because they were in, a prisoner of war situation, or they were raped and molested as a child. There's still, both of them have a change in their brain. Literally, chemically, physically. It's real. Don't let anyone invalidate that. Now, I'm not saying, and I want to say this I want to say this loud. I'm not going to yell, but you know what I'm saying. Just having PTSD, do not use it as a pawn or an excuse or as a manipulation. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. Those who, I have PTSD, so I can act however I want and you have to deal with it. No. That is not okay. You can't use your PTSD as a weapon to hurt other people or make them do what you want them to do. You don't use it as a badge for why everyone should feel bad for you. No, that's not what it's about. What it is about is figuring out how to make it better, how to have the best life you possibly can, and then helping the next person do the same. Okay? So, do not use your trauma to traumatize anyone else in your life. Okay? I said it here first. Back to the conversation with this guy who ripped me to shreds with his words, said some really horrible, nasty things, and for a while had me feeling really bad about myself. And, kind of putting myself in the victim mode that I was just speaking of, and how he hurt me and how my triggers were now triggered and blah, 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 blah. Yep, those feelings were real. They're understandable. And they're probable with most people in that situation, okay? But I didn't live there. I didn't stay there, okay? I called someone that I knew I could trust, talk to, knows me very well, has been through every major crisis and win in my life, talked it through, and I'm okay. Like I said, I'm now on fire. I am now motivated to get the message out because douchebags like that should not be defining who anybody is, let alone something they don't know anything about. So rather than getting mad that they don't know about it, I'm going to educate. So if you are interested in following me, please do so. Again, this is multiform because PTSD does not have a uniform. Okay? Look me up on Facebook, Instagram. I love to have you follow me. I love to share. Y'all, this is, for me, all about supporting those who need support, educating those that need education, and helping our support system know how to support us better. Because when they know how to help us and we feel helped, so much can be accomplished. So much can be accomplished with those kinds of relationships with our support systems, and it makes everything easier for everyone. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to do. Follow me, subscribe, make sure you check me out. I'm going to have these podcasts every Monday. Multiform Motivational Monday, baby. Woo! All right. Have a great day. Have a little more patience and understanding with people who are out there struggling with things you know nothing about. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you back here next week. Guys, thank you so much for listening to Multiform PTSD. I love doing this. I hope you enjoy being here too. If you do, subscribe to this channel wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss another episode. And as always, share the love and support and education. Join me every Multiform Monday for a new episode. And don't forget, we're in this together, guys. Let's do it.